know, if I could go back in time, maybe 30 years, and talk to myself, I don't know that things would come out much differently than the way that they've come out. I certainly think that I would hope that I would have the good sense to take advantage of opportunities that I was given. When you think about those coincidental turns, like I mentioned earlier, that if not for a given record, I probably wouldn't be playing this music. If not for meeting, certain people at a certain time, my life would not have made certain turns that it made. I think those things that you think you wish you could do over are things you needed to learn from. If I could wipe out all the mistakes, I wouldn't be the same person I am. I don't think I would appreciate life or my wife or my family or the blues or the music as much as I do now. I mean, for example, when I come into gospel, I come from the blues perspective. That means that there are people who were raised in the church and they come in sort of viewing blues as something other than what they do. It's almost like it's the enemy's music, if you will. I come from a perspective of viewing blues as being the base form of gospel and so many other kinds of music. So my approach is different. If I hadn't had those experiences in the blues, I wouldn't approach the music the way that I do. I don't think I'd approach life the way that I do. So I don't know if I'd change anything, even if I could, even the things that hurt a lot, even, losing your mother or losing your father or when my uncle died and all those kind of things. If you change that, you change who you are. So I don't know if there'd be any use of going back. I've been doing a program in schools for over 15, maybe 20 years. And because of that, not only do I listen to music for the joy of music, but also to try to find connections, to try to find places where I can talk to kids about, where music comes from. So I listen to a fairly wide variety of roots music. I'd say that's probably my favorite kind of music. I love old country. I like George Jones. Crazy about George Jones, as a matter of fact. I like Willie Nelson. I like Hank Williams, Kitty Wells, that kind of stuff. I'm obviously a big fan of country blues. All of the sort of icons from all of the major regions, from Texas, Blind Lemon Jefferson, Lightning Hopkins, T-Bone Walker. From Mississippi, just about everybody, Son House, Booker White, Skip James, all those kind of cats. From the Carolinas, Reverend Gary Davis, Brownie McGee, Blind Boy Fuller, Sonny Terry, Bull City Red, early Detroit music, Big Maceo Merriweather, Tampa Red, Bobo Jenkins, Mr. Bo, all those guys who used to live in Detroit, Chicago, the Great Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Elmore James, John Brim, all those people. And listening to a wide variety of that blues music. I also love the sound of early gospel, love quartets, the Swan Silvertones, the Soul Stirrers, the Highway QCs, the Harmonizing Four, Mahalia Jackson, Blind Willie Johnson, Paul Robeson, Marian Anderson. It's just an amazing variety of music under the overall banner of roots music. So I listen to a lot of that stuff, sometimes just for pleasure, and sometimes it's trying to find those connections. Where did country music come from? How did honky-tonk develop? Sort of out of a combination of mountain music and blues out west. How did bluegrass come out of a combination of old-timey music and blues? Who were the seminal figures? Arnold Schultz, who was never recorded. How he could affect the music of Bill Monroe and Merle Travis and that kind of thing. So I listen to music with a purpose, and then I listen to it for the sheer joy of listening to it. And sometimes when I'm listening to it, you listen to a piece and it just sort of takes you over. You just stop analyzing it and you start experiencing it. I find that happens for me a lot with old-time gospel. Groups like the Five Blind Boys of Alabama or Mississippi, or the Swan Silvertones, cats like that. Sometimes I'm listening to it for the purpose, maybe either to have it on my radio show or something like that, and the next thing I know, I'm just like caught up in it. And the music is really a evocative thing. It goes past your brain and into your heart, and I think that's one of the reasons I love the idea of music so much. And I think maybe even in the church, that's part of what makes the church so powerful. It's not just the preaching, it's not just the message, it's the way the message is delivered. In the Baptist church, music is always a part of everything you do. You don't have a lot of the regalia. Sometimes the preacher didn't have the benefit of seminary, couldn't read Greek, couldn't read Hebrew, all that stuff, but he always had music. That was how people got their prayers across. That's how people dealt with the emotion of whatever they were dealing with. They would go to church, hear that music, feel that music, and get their burdens off of their back. So, music is just it's an important part of my life, I'm always trying to learn something new, too. I play guitar, play harmonica, I think, pretty well. But right now I'm messing around with gospel mandolin, which is kind of derived from blues mandolin, cats like Yank Rachel. I'm pretty rudimentary fiddler, but it's coming along. I love to play. I love the sound of fiddle, and black folks used to relate to fiddle a lot more than we do now. There was a time when most of the people who played mandolin played fiddle, and it sort of took the place that the harmonica has now in blues. It's the instrument that sustains and sort of doubles or does the response to the voice in blues music early on with groups like the Mississippi Sheiks. So I'm learning fiddle. I'm teaching myself fiddle. I'm messing around with gospel and blues mandolin. So a lot of different things. I think when you decide you got it and you know it all, that's when it gets to be dead. So for me, it's an ongoing process.
When the Lord